Hello and welcome back to the Black Hat. Alright, so let's look at what Black Hat thinking is. Just for recap, we've covered the white hat, we've looked at the red hat, and now we go on to the black hat. So, what does the color black generally symbolize? Darkness, of course, fear, something scary. So that's exactly what black hat is. It's about risks. It's about what can go wrong, what's not right here. So when you presented with the scenario, you can ask yourself, what are the risks associated with this? Like in that situation about the school excursion that we dealt with Red Hat. Well, here you can say, what if somebody gets hurt? What if somebody's kidnapped, God forbid? So it's all the negative things that can happen. What's the worst case scenario? And that's what the black hat is about, looking at what could possibly be negative and wrong about this particular problem. And the idea behind it is, if you can see all the things that could possibly happen and explore that, the chances of a particular project working are much greater, because you know, hey, I've explored that if we walk this way, we could fall because it's slippery, it's raining. So then we understand, we're a little more cautious, we hold on to the handrail. But if you don't think about what could possibly go wrong, then you're ill prepared, and there are greater risks to what could happen. So in a black hat, let's take a scenario, all right? Let's assume you want to buy a pet. You want to get a new pet. And so you sit down as a family, and what's the black hat thinking that can come to buying a new pet? Let's think about it for a minute. What are some of the negatives? What are some of the dangers? If everybody's working and the kids go to school, who's going to be there to look after the dog? Who is going to clean up after the dog? I'm assuming that we're talking about a dog or a pup. Who's going to clean up afterwards? When the dog makes a poo outside or makes a poo inside, who is going to clean up? If that person's not around, so if it's the older brother that's going to do it, what happens when the older brother's not there? Who is going to take that responsibility? What happens if we want to plan a family holiday? Can we not go any longer? Who is going to take responsibility? If we put it into a doggy hotel, how much is that doggy hotel going to be costing us? If it's to bring somebody in to stay in our home to look after the new pup, what's that going to cost us? What are the risks associated with that? What are things that could go possibly wrong? What if the dog runs out of the gate? We're living on a busy street with lots of cars going up and down. What happens if the dog goes out? We don't want to put the dog on a leash or have the dog tied. That's not right. So how is that going to work? Our fence is low at the back end of the garden, so the dog can possibly jump over. How do we protect the dog and make sure it doesn't go? So what type of dog are we going to buy? We can't buy a vicious dog because we have neighbors all around our home. So in a black hat, it's what could possibly go wrong. It's like in a factory. Have you ever heard of a quality controller in a factory? So in a process line, the garment goes through being sewn, buttons on, till it comes to the last process, which is a quality controller. And that quality controller will pick up the garment and look at the stitching, make sure that the stitching, each part of the garment is stitched correctly, the type of stitching is the correct size, the buttons are stitched on properly. There's no color variation in it. If there's a material, could there perhaps be a tear on the material? So that's what a quality controller does, and that's what a black hat thinker is. It's checking for defects, checking what could go wrong, making sure the path ahead is well thought through and clear and ready for success. So black hat thinking is really an important thinking hat, because it's a cautionary hat. It's raising awareness, and we often refer to the black hat as the devil's advocate. So let's look a little more about black hat thinking. So when we use black hat thinking, we ask questions like, what are the potential risks of this plan or idea? What could go wrong? What are the weaknesses or flaws in this idea? Why might it not work? What are the potential downsides and negative consequences? What are we forgetting here? And what could cause problems a little later down the line? Are there any dangers or safety concerns? Is there any part that might not work or might work now but stop working as we proceed? What makes this more difficult than we think it is? Are there any pitfalls, any dangers down the line? Is there any reason we shouldn't proceed with this? So black hat is really about taking precaution. Let's look at another example. All right, let's look at a family wanting to order dinner out. So mom's tired and she wants to order out dinner. Let's put a black hat on, okay? So what could be possible black hat thinking points in ordering dinner? Ordering dinner is fun, it's pleasant, it takes the burden off everybody. But what are black hat thinking thoughts? Firstly, it's much more expensive than we cooking at home. Is there a better option than black hat thinking? What if we don't like the flavor of the food? What if the quality of the food is not good and gives us a tummy, have some food poisoning? Is it a reputable restaurant where we know there won't be any compromise on the quality? What about the delivery? How long will the delivery take? Maybe by the time that delivery gets to you, the food's going to be cold and nobody's going to be really happy about it. What about the portion size? Do you think the portion size is adequate for everybody? Or will you have to buy two, or a double portion, or triple portion, because it's a small portion that is actually being served? And then it's the portion versus the cost, which is another negative. So you got to look at the risks. The packaging, what if the packaging is not right?
Each grade is filled with subjects spanning an entire year's curriculum, neatly segmented into terms. Within each term, you'll find ebooks, workbooks, past exam papers, and engaging quizzes. The cloud icon is your tool for file downloads, and the checkbox is there to help you visually track your term-by-term progress.
And flimsy that when the person delivering it, we'd have broken packages and destroyed food. What if the package is too expensive and you're paying per kilo, so your package costs more than the actual food itself? So all black hat thinking brings looking at all those points. So when you finally have to make a decision, you bring all the other hats in and you make a decision. It's a far better decision to make. So now let's do another example. Open your workbook, go through an example. Let's have a look at, have you complete one on your own. And when you're done, we're gonna hop back on again and we'll do some multiple choice scenarios on black hat where you identify, I'll give you the red hat, the yellow hat, the white hat, and you identify which is the black hat. See you in a while. All right, let's look at an example of black hat, okay? So your friend wants to borrow your new headphones. Let's do some black hat thinking around it. What could possibly go wrong if you lend them your headphones? The risk one is it could damage. What if they accidentally break them? Headphones are reasonably delicate and it could be broken. 2, what if they lose them or forget where they put them? They're brand new and they're expensive to replace. What if they don't return it on time and you need to use it? If you stipulate the date and they don't bring it back, and that's going to get you annoyed and it's going to affect your friendship. What about the wear and tear of it? Even if they don't break it, using them for a week could cause wear and tear, especially if they don't handle it well and use it roughly and leave it lying outside, etc. That could damage the headphones. What if there's disagreement if the headphones are damaged If they do damage, we might have a big argument. Who pays for repairs and the conflict? And at the end of the day, you're going to lose a good friend. So, black hat thinking reveals the potential negative consequences of lending your headphones, the damage, the loss, the late return, wear and tear, the conflict with your friend. So, black hat helps you think through consequences. Thank you. Let's look at the example we used before again. Your school is thinking of extending lunch break by 15 minutes. Which statement is black hat thinking? Is it A, a longer lunch break would give us more time to relax and socialize? Or B, I'm happy about the idea and are having more free time? D, longer breaks can improve student well-being and reduce stress? Or D, which will a longer lunch break cut into class time? How will it affect learning? Which do you think? Absolutely, it's D, all right? What could go wrong? How could it affect us? What, whether now or whether later? So yes, will the time affect our learning? Thank you. Now I'd like you to complete the 20 multiple choice in your workbooks, and then we'll hop on to the next hat, which is the yellow hat. All right, so let's look at option A. A party would be so much fun. We did this. Fun. Emotion. Red hat. Great. B. Parties are a great way to bond and make memories. That's a benefit. We're going to discuss it in the next hat. Who will pay for the party? We need to consider costs, caution, risk. Next one, I feel really excited, is emotion again. So the most likely one is C, because we're looking at what do we need to make this happen. All right? So let's look at the next scenario. Wait.